case made the fraud news in Canada because of the numbers, but the real issue really isn't dentistry, is it?
No, not at all. Dentistry is just a delivery vehicle. That's what this case really shows, is that professional status doesn't inoculate against fraud. In fact, sometimes it enables it. We see the same behavior in pharmacists, medical clinics, even auto repair shops. And business that submits insurance claims are based largely on trust. This dentist didn't wake up one morning and decide to steal $680,000. This started as most frauds do, slowly. One claim, one shortcut, one duplicate invoice, followed by one rationalization. Opportunity combined with pressure and justification.
So you mentioned pharmacies. Walk us through that, because a lot of listeners won't realize how similar the schemes actually are.
Well, pharmacy fraud follows the same playbook. Scheduled drugs are billed to insurers as if they were dispensed to patients. But instead of receiving the medication, patients walk out with diapers, sunglasses, cosmetics, normal retail goods. The drugs? They're retained by the pharmacy and quietly sold on the black market, which is problematic because that's where part of our opioid problem comes from. The result is double income, once from the insurer, once from the illicit sale of drugs. Different profession, same fraud logic, same abuse of trust.
So how did this case in Calgary actually unravel?
Well, it was quite simple, really. Data analytics. Modern insurers don't look at individual claims, they look at patterns. In this case, anomaly detection systems flagged things that simply shouldn't happen. The same tooth on a patient was extracted twice. A single tooth had multiple root canal treatments. Procedure volumes and mixes that didn't align with peer norms. At the end of the day, no dentist extracts the same tooth twice. No tooth has two root canals on separate dates. Those inconsistencies trigger deeper reviews. And once you zoom out over years, the pattern becomes undeniable.
So there's also a uniquely Canadian issue here that makes fraud harder to spot, right?
Yes, and this is important. In Canada, physicians' visits flow directly to OHIP, or whichever province we're talking about, and not to the private medical insurers. That separation creates blind spots. Unlike private insurance systems where claims, adjudication, and audit data are centralized, OHIP billing data isn't easily cross-referenced by insurers. That one bit of fragmentation makes pattern-based fraud detection slower and often much more difficult, especially when professionals operate just inside the lines for years. And fraud really survives in the gaps between systems.
Let's talk about the outcome.
Well, in this particular case, the dentist stole approximately $680,000 and was sentenced to 3 years in prison. So if you do the basic maths, that's about $230,000 per year that she earned. Now, the courts, they did their job, but this case forces an uncomfortable question. When fraud lasts a decade, is eventually getting caught really a deterrent? Or is it just a cost of doing business for bad actors? Most of us would be charmed to be earning an extra $230,000 a year. That's why prevention, analytics, and early detection matter more than ever.
Final takeaway for insurers and risk professionals listening, Dave?
Well, the first thing is that trust is not a control. And the idea that somebody who studied for 7 years would not possibly commit fraud is also a fabrication and a blind side to the truth. Professionals do commit fraud.
Not the dentist, Dave.
Commit fraud. And long-running schemes almost always start small. If you want to stop fraud, you don't chase stories, you chase patterns. You chase volume anomalies, you chase procedural mismatches, and you trace behavior over time. Remember, data doesn't care about credentials, it only cares about the numbers.